Hi guys, welcome back. I have a beautiful model this time. Her name is Alexa, and I'm so excited to be doing her makeup. She's actually a makeup artist as well. She freelances on her own and she's also on my team. So I have had a lot of questions in my Inner Circle Facebook group about doing faster demoed makeup applications, not necessarily a bride where it takes you about 2 hours or celebrity clientele, but even with celebrity clientele, they want a quick glam, right? They don't want to be sitting in your chair for 2 hours. A lot of them don't have 2 hours to sit in your chair. So I figured, what a better time to do it than now. I want to do more demonstrating in videos, more makeup application, just like really what I like to do. I also love to teach. So if you guys do have business questions, don't be afraid to head over to the comment section and let me know any questions that you have. I am going to be doing a giveaway with this as well. You could go grab your free resource by clicking the link below or going to theartoфenhancement.com. And that is going to be a full product list of what we are using today so that you don't have to write it down throughout this entire video. You are easily able just to click any link and it will bring you right to that product. I'm Lauren D'Amelio Ventre. I have been in this industry for over 16 years now. I am obsessed with all things makeup, all things skincare, and I am here to help you with any questions that you might have. We have our beautiful model here, like I just spoke about. We are going to start off by the most important thing that you do when you have a client is their consultation. Again, I am doing a quick makeup look on her as per requested, but we still want to know what we should be using. It is my first time ever doing Alexa's makeup before. I am super excited to do it, but I want to give you that true experience of like working with a client that you've never met before and going through those steps of having a quick consultation, really understanding what you need to do even when you're on a time crunch. So, handing over the mic. What do you, tell me any skin concerns, any skin issues that you might have?
So my skin is oily, mostly in the T-zone, but pretty much all over. My makeup will move around. It is sensitive to touch.
Okay.
So when you're putting products on, if you're doing skincare, wiping it down, it'll turn red. Nothing to be concerned about. And I could be acne prone.
Okay.
Right now it's relatively clear, but I do have concerns like on my cheeks and on my chin. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it.
Good. Oily T-zone.
T-zone, especially like around my nose.
Okay.
And in my laugh lines, it's gonna go.
Okay. You feel like it settles there?
Yeah, and it'll settle in my forehead too.
All right, great. Good to know. Is there anything that you've hated when like obviously you're an artist, so you don't get your makeup done often, or that you've done to yourself or that you've gotten done that you just do not like on yourself?
I don't necessarily love a super heavy bake because I do have past that 30 mark, so those fine lines are there.
Girl, we're here with you.
It's a struggle, but I definitely like powder, so it's been hard to find that happy medium. And the last time I did get my makeup done, it looked perfect, but towards the end of the night I noticed that I just have to pay closer attention to that.
Okay, awesome.
Fine lines.
Awesome. So you're okay with like different like liner looks? You don't shy away from like lashes?
Never.
Cool.
Love eyes.
What tones do you typically go towards? Do you like more of the warm or cool? Warm. Okay, awesome. Yeah. I especially like your earrings are they silver?
They're silver.
They're silver. Sometimes you're able to look at like the client's jewelry and kind of know what they lean towards. I also wear silver jewelry, but I like gold tones. So always asking, or like warm tones on my face and in my eyes. So always ask. Sometimes it is a telltale sign, sometimes it's not. Do you like your brows filled in?
Yes, please.
Yes, awesome. And are you opposed to a lash?
No.
Awesome.
Never lash.
If there's anything that is burning or uncomfortable, please let me know. Super important to always talk your client through all of this. You really want to understand their skin. You really want to understand the look that they're going for prior to starting their makeup application. I cannot stress that enough, because if you don't do a proper consultation with them prior to starting, you're not going to give them what they want, and you've just wasted all of that time doing their makeup and you should have just taken those 2 minutes in the beginning to really understand what they want. The next thing that I like to do after the consult is to take a picture of them with my phone. This is going to help me see their symmetry. Symmetry is so important. This is what we perceive as beauty in humans, is truly symmetry. Obviously, asymmetry can be beautiful as well, but our goal here is to create symmetry in the face. So by taking a picture, I'm going to be able to see their symmetry. I'm going to see maybe what side they turn to a little bit more, what side they favor, maybe they raise a brow. And I'm also going to see some undertones in there as well. Go to just the regular camera. You could go to portrait if you'd like. We are under some serious studio lights here. So we are going to see anything that, you know, we might not see to the naked eye, especially on camera. So we're going to see a little bit of darkness under her eyes. I do see a little bit more height on her right side. Do you favor your right side, or what side do you turn to in photo?
This one.
So she is slightly higher, as you can see in the photo, on her right side. Typically, your client will favor the higher side of their face. Although I do want to say her cheekbone on this side and her jawline is slightly more tapered and higher on her left side. So I am going to raise this brow a little bit. I am going to make sure that I contour a little bit more on her right side. And just remembering the symmetry that we want. We see a little redness, nothing too concerning, nothing that really needs like a green color correction. We could color correct under her eye, but I'm pretty confident in my concealers that I use that they will just brighten and you know, give the effect that we're looking for. She has beautiful big eyes. So we're going to play those up. And again, it is going to be, I would like this to be an under 30-minute application, just because a lot of the times as artists, we need to work under pressure and get things done fast, but them to also look absolutely flawless and beautiful and give them what they want. Since our client is sensitive, we want to really make sure that we're using the right kind of skincare for her. I love the LMS Pro Collagen Rose Hydro Mist. This is going to help calm down any skin sensitivity. It's also going to help hydrate. She's more of a dehydrated, oily girl. So we still want to bring that moisture to the face. Even though she does get shiny and oily throughout the day, we will fix that with other products, but right now we're worried about hydrating. So I'm just going to mist this. You're going to keep your eyes shut. Doesn't it smell nice? This again was by Elemis. And next I'm going to use the Elemis Superfood Facial Oil. This is beautiful under makeup. It is not heavy and greasy. It's not going to make her any more oily, so don't worry about that on your clients. I'm going to just apply that with a tapered stippling brush. And I'm gonna avoid the areas that maybe get like a little overly shiny, like around her nose area, but I do really wanna hydrate the rest of the skin very well. I'm going down her neck and her chest because that is showing. Always ask your client what they're wearing as well, because you don't want to waste your time doing all this area if they're going to just have something cover it. But if it's a lower cut, you want to be able to get to that area. When we get nervous, our ears and our chest tend to get a little red. So especially if your client has a big event or something that they might be a little nervous about, make sure that you are always getting some kind of product, foundation or powders, down the neck, down the chest, and on the ears, so that when they do get flushed or nervous or excited, their face is not a different color than the rest of their body. I just put a little bit of the Kiss You Lip Mask by Tatcha on her lips, just to hydrate a little bit. And next, I just have the mini Tatcha water cream. This is gonna be nice, especially for sensitive girls. It is nice and hydrating, but it's very light. So even if she's oily, it's not going to be over hydrating. It's not going to be overly creamy. It is going to really melt into the skin really nicely. Whenever I am applying skincare, remembering the order of thinnest to thickest, that is going to be a big game changer for some of you if you don't really understand, you know, what order to apply products in. Same brush that I applied the oil with. When we are applying skincare or foundation, you want to brush those little vellus hairs on the face. If she does not have them, that's okay, but still always do the downward motion. You want to lay those little hairs flat. Even if you can't see them, they may still be there. You don't want to swirl them upward and create texture. For her under eye cream, I'm going to go in with the Dior, this is the Cooling Hydration Sorbet Eye Gel. And it has a nice porcelain tip, so it's nice and cooling. It's going to help depuff a bit, and it just feels like luxury for your client. If you are using the applicator directly on your client's skin, you need to really make sure. What I do is I squeeze the product out first, and then I get it on the tip. I'm not trying to squeeze or allow it to suck back any product into the bottle while I'm applying it. And then immediately after, you need to alcohol this. It's very important. And I also even like when I'm done is to squeeze out whatever might have gone back into the tube. This way you're not contaminating your other clients. So when I am doing faster faces, I do the face first opposed to doing the eyes first. Next, I just squeeze out a little bit of the Drunk Elephant Be Goldie Bright Drops. They have niacinamide in them. They're going to help with the appearance of pores, and it's going to also help hydrate, and it is also great for your oily girls. As her primer, I'm going to use One Size Secure the Sweat. This is going to help with the oil production also in the T-zone and around her nose. So I'm going to concentrate this mainly on the center of her face. I'm just getting a little bit on my brush. And I love that it does have that illuminating ingredient in it. It's just really nice. It gives that really pretty skin-like appearance under even foundations, which is great for me. I'm going to take a little bit of the Secure the Sweat primer. Very little, I squeeze out way too much. And that's really gonna go in the areas that she does get a little oily. I know that it says Secure the Sweat, but it is a great oil controlling product as well. And you don't wanna put an aggressive amount of product anywhere, especially where they have maybe fine lines, because product is going to sit mainly on top of the skin, right? Maybe some of it will penetrate a little bit, but if you're adding thick layers where they're prone to getting creasing, those products are just gonna sit there and make those creases look more severe than they actually are. Once I let that get just a little bit tacky, let it really settle into the skin, I'm going to move on to her foundation. I do like to do the face first for when I'm trying to be a little faster with makeup. Sometimes I catch myself spending way too much time on the eyes and the brows. So if I just really concentrate on doing the face first, that's going to make me go a lot faster. And then if I don't have a ton of time for the eyes, I can still make them look absolutely gorgeous with like 5 minutes to spare, opposed to like having 5 minutes to do the entire face. When you're working on a client, most of the time their eyes are open for the rest of the day in their event. They're not going to be looking down all the time. So to spend majority of your time just working on the eyes is a total waste. So especially when you're under super tight time restrictions, go with the face first. At least for me, this works really well. I'm gonna use House Labs. This is in the shade 145 Light Cool. And I'm just, again, applying it in that downward direction with a stippling brush. It is a really good match for her. I like to bring it down the neck, down the chest a bit. I am not putting a heavy layer on. I did about 1.5 pumps, and I might not even need all of that. When you do have clients with sensitive skin or acne-prone skin, you do really want to tell them to double cleanse that night. Don't sleep with your makeup on. Make sure you double cleanse. Get everything out of your pores. Use even like a balm that helps melt the makeup away, and then a really good, maybe deep cleansing face wash, and even using a toner after will really help get all of that product out of the skin. And then they don't have to worry about breaking out. If you're using a good amount of skincare under makeup, you really shouldn't have to worry too much about like the makeup breaking your client out. It can still happen if they're super sensitive, but you're adding that nice little layer of protection to their skin prior to putting makeup on. So that will also help. I'm not going too close to under the eye. I'm just getting right on the sides of the nose. I'm gonna hit the ear a bit and then go down the chest a little bit more. So I still do have a little bit left on my palette. As you can see, 1.5 pumps was like more than enough for full face, chest, and ears. Next, I'm gonna go in with her concealer. This is Tarte Ultra Creamy Concealer in Light Medium Honey. And I'm just going to apply it with a beauty blender. I do not want a thick layer of product under the eye by any means. This is very pigmented, so I don't need a lot. And by applying it with a beauty blender, it's actually gonna help that layer be even thinner than applying it with like a brush. I almost like get onto their lash line when I apply the concealer. This is gonna ensure, especially if you have a client that has any darkness around that area, that won't be peeking through when you're all done, you know? Because sometimes you can get this close and you still have like that little bit of darkness peeking through, and it'll just drive you nuts in your pictures later. So I am doing a very thin layer. Don't push too hard on your client. Be careful around the eyes. I'm gonna have you close for a sec. I will do her lids in a minute, but I am gonna switch out concealers for that. I'm gonna just use a little bit of light medium. This is the regular Tarte Shape Tape. And have you just close your eyes. I'm gonna go right over your lids. She's a little bit of oil on her lids, so I'm just flipping my sponge around and just drying that off. If I had a little bit more time, what I also would like to do with my oily girls, I do like to do like a toner, just to really wipe them down, maybe even a peel pad. But especially when you're under tight time restrictions, you're gonna have to give up some of the things that you like to do. Anywhere that maybe a little redness might be still poking through, maybe you see a little bit of like acne scarring or active acne, we're just going to spot conceal those areas. I am using a concealer that's very close to her skin tone for this part. It's the same concealer that I just used for her lids, the Shape Tape Light Medium. I'm gonna contour her out using the LYS stick. It is in Motive. Same brush, very important when you're working quickly to try to use as little brushes as possible. You can work much faster that way, as long as you're using them in the right order. Still gonna get that really nice contoured effect by doing this instead of applying it and then trying to blend. I'm kind of blending as I go. Remembering this side of her cheekbone was just a little bit lower, so I'm going up a little higher with the contour, as well as on her jawline. I'm just bringing that up a little bit higher as well. Remembering we want to bring this down the neck. We never, ever, ever, ever want to see that line of demarcation. If they're able to make any kind of unflattering face, that's like the worst, to see that line. And by blending it as you go, you don't have to like remember to like be like, oh my God, I have to blend out that contoured line. So when I do apply it, I really go from like right above the ear. I feel like if you guys have followed me for a while, I am very much into contour. If you guys have taken my classes, contour and highlight is like probably one of my favorite things to do. So even when I have to work quickly, I cannot leave it out. Whenever you are dipping directly onto a product, you need to make sure that this is also set aside so that you can alcohol and wipe off that layer. You do not want to cross-contaminate any of your clients. I am doing a little bit of chest contour and décolleté contour just right on that collarbone. You have a beautiful collarbone. With that same contour stick, I am just going to pick up a little product on a smaller brush, and I'm just going to go down the sides of her nose. I'm gonna do a little bit around the lip. Be careful not to give anyone a chocolate milk mustache. You don't want that. Contouring out her eyes, saving us a little time later. I'm gonna be using the RCMA Porcelain just to highlight a little bit, brighten a little bit in certain areas, bring those areas forward. I'm gonna turn your head a little towards me. With the nose, you really wanna make sure that's super straight. Make a little tree. I love the shade. It just really is nice. It brightens, it blends out so easily. Remembering not to heavy layer under the eye where it could crease easily. We're gonna skip that little area. Same thing on this side. Getting a little bit of highlight at that brow bone. I'm gonna just take a paper towel or a tissue, whatever you have handy, and just get a little bit of that lip mask off, because I do like to go over the lips. Some people hate it, I like it. Just like with little product. I like to have that base there. And why not? Little collarbone. So this is a part that like I obviously would do a little bit more if I had a ton of time to do, but I want to make sure that I have enough time to get her entire face done by the time either her car's picking her up or the photographer's coming, or if you just really don't want to spend that much time on every single client that you do. So I'm blending that out with my Beauty Blender. This is Beauty Blender brand. It's the Pro Blender. I prefer them to most blenders. So how I'm pressing, I'm really just bouncing the blender up and down. I'm not rubbing. If you are ever in a position where you're not liking what something looks like, or like, let's just say you put too much product in an area, then you could rub or swipe. That's going to take product off. By just bouncing it, it's going to allow the product to stay where you want it. And it's going to also help fade it out and look a little bit more airbrushed. So Lex, I want to lift her eyes a little bit too. So I'm going to bring that like highlighted area just like up a little bit. She's somewhat of a downward. I wouldn't consider them fully downward. They're like an almond with like slightly downward on the edge. Beautiful eyes. So on her, I would like to do a little cream blush, and that's going to be the Tarte Maneater Blush and Glow. This is in the shade Fuchsia. Just gonna give a nice little wash of color, nothing too crazy. Focusing it more on the high points of her cheeks and going upwards towards her temple. I still do like to get it near the apple of the cheek, but I just don't give her like a round it. Next, we are gonna get ready to set under her eye and the rest of her face. So remembering we're never, ever, ever, ever going to set a crease, are we? It's a hard no. So if you feel like your client is going to crease easily, you could do one side at a time. I'm going to use Butter by Fenty Beauty just to set under her eye with a triangular powder puff. I feel like the Huda would just be a little bit too drying, and Givenchy might be not enough to keep her oil controlled. So since she does not like to bake, we are gonna work quickly on this because we don't want to dry her out or create more creasing. I'm going right underneath her cheekbone, right underneath that contour that we just did to pop it out even further. Bring the side up just slightly higher. Really like to use some extra powder on a face brush. And as I dust away that mini bake that we did, since it's not like a full bake, we're not leaving it on her. As we dust away, we also set the rest of the face. But why we do that is to make everything apply nice and smoothly, like our bronzers, our blushes. If you're using a foundation powder, if you are not setting the rest of the face with your translucent first, it's really just gonna grab any of the areas that you did not let that translucent powder sit for a little bit. And then you're gonna have like these harsh lines. This really helps you avoid any harsh lines, and it will make blending powders much easier. I'm going to also go down the neck and chest since we did those areas. I'm going to just take a smaller brush just to fluff away any of the under eye bake so that it's not sitting too long. I did not set her lid yet because there is some creasing there, so I want to blend that out prior to putting my powders on. I'm going to use C6 by MAC. This is Studio Fix powder. It is a foundation powder, so it's going to add a little bit more coverage without it being cakey or heavy. Also helps blend any lines that we might have from our little quick mini bake. This is a Scott Barnes, I believe, number 64 brush. I also, if their hair is not done yet and you don't know if they're gonna wear their hair down or not, no matter what, even if they are wearing their hair down, still try to get behind the neck, because if they wind up throwing their hair up like halfway through the night for whatever reason, they're gonna have like this line of like their foundation and their powder. So make sure you get behind the neck, behind the ears. You don't want them to look like a crazy person. I'm going to take a shadow brush. This is a Morphe M441 brush with my foundation powder, C5. And we are just starting the shadow process. Next, I'm going to take Amber Bronze by Dior, and I'm just going to start giving her a little bronzer in those contoured areas. This is number 6. Thank you. No, you're good. And since she does have dark hair, we can get very close to her hairline, even push it into the hairline. Makes our life easy. If you are working with a client with light hair, you want to be careful of their hairline. I'm gonna go in with another shadow brush. And I'm just taking that bronzer on the outer corner of the eye. That little sideways V, I like to call it, where we brush it along the lash line, come out, and then up. So you're creating a sideways V and some dimension to the eye. You can also take this down the sides of the nose. With Lex, her bridge comes out like a little bit, and then she does dip in a little bit before the tip of her nose. So you mainly want to contour like right there, right where she kind of like, not that it's like extreme or anything. I'm like a crazy person. You want to start looking for these things, but I don't need to contour her in anymore here, here, and here, here, because she's already very slim here, 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 here. So we really want to concentrate the bulk of the contour to be in the areas that it's a little bit wider. Remember that if your client has a crooked nose, you don't want to contour them crooked. You always want to have that straight line down the center. I'm going to use Strawberry by Laura Mercier, and that is just one of my favorite really pretty pink blushes. So I do depop my Dior highlight. I just popped it out of the palette, but this is just, obviously I need a new one, but I love it so much. Dipping into a little bit of the pink first from the Dior highlight palette. This is the 001. And then I'm gonna mix between the champagne and the white. If your client has acne in those areas, obviously you don't want to over highlight those areas. You want to keep them as matte as possible. And then again, you want to do a very straight line down the nose. And it really reflects very pretty if you turn towards me. Just really nice. I'm going to do her collarbone. I also tell my clients when they're sitting in my chair to avoid like them trying to look in the mirror the whole time, especially when you're trying to do something fast. Let them know that you're gonna let them look at the end and they can rip it apart and you will change anything that they don't like. This will make them feel much more comfortable than them just sitting there like thinking that you're not gonna have time to change things. All right, so now that we have blush, highlight, all the goods, I'm gonna do a little bit of a brightening powder. I know this one is a little pricey, but it's the Westman Atelier. This is in the color Pink Bubble, and it is the Vital Pressed Skincare Powder. It's really nice for brightening up under the eye. It's not super like drying, so it's gonna be great for your girls who don't want their under eyes to look any drier, but it also brightens a ton and smooths the appearance of fine lines, which I love. I love a bright under eye. If you don't have to do this step. I'm gonna move on to shadows. I'm gonna use the Patrick Ta. This is Major Dimension 3 palette, and since she likes warmer tones, I'm gonna stick with the top row. I also love the bottom row for cooler toned eyes. I'm going to dip right into the second lightest shade. Have you closed? So we already did start her shadow, which is great, right? We don't have to do too much here. I'm using a Morphe M514 brush. This is one of my favorite brushes ever to exist. It's great for eye work or detail work. I am keeping this pretty high. I'm gonna dip a little bit into that cream tone just to blend up to the brow. Next, I'm gonna jump right over to this really nice warm brown. It's not the darkest one in the palette, but it's the second darkest powder on the warm side. And again, just that sideways V. We are bringing it upwards. We're not bringing it directly out because I want to lift her eye. And I'm really just on her lash line, going back and forth. And then I'm going to shoot this right into her crease. Slightly lower than we were before. I could always work backwards if I see too much of a line. You really want that to be very blended, very soft. And I want you to look at the difference between the two eyes, like how much higher this one appears. So again, right across that lash line, going upward towards that temple and bringing it into her crease. Beautiful. I'm also going to take a smaller brush now and to use a pencil brush with that same brown, warm brown shadow. Yeah, a little lash. There we go. I'm just going to start on that outer corner. I'm just following that direction upward from her lower lash line. One thing that I really love about this palette is the creams that they have in them. I'm gonna take a small smudger brush with a little bit of that brown and I'm gonna work on her upper lash line for a sec. I do like that she has her eyes open because I get to see where this is gonna land when she is looking straight forward. It's a really good trick to use on your clients because sometimes when their eyes are shut and you go to do any kind of wing, you're not gonna really know what it looks like when their eyes are open until it's too late. So it's a really easy way to just map out where you want that. Whenever I am doing quicker looks, I don't typically do like a sharp wing. I typically do like a very smoked out smudgy wing. Just faster for me personally. So what I'm doing is just taking a little extra product and bringing that horizontal to like the floor. Because we don't want any swoop. I'm gonna take my small pencil brush again and blend that. Next, I'm gonna go in with her liner, which is gonna be the Point Made Bust Deep Brown, one size liner. You're gonna look down. I'm gonna just tight line her upper waterline. So a great trick is to have your client put their tongue at the roof of their mouth, look down in this way, and have them look away from where you're applying. Good. It is a really weird feeling for someone to have someone that close in their eyeball. Now I'm just like literally wiggling into her lashes. You can always ask your client if they need a break because it does like tickle. Now I'm gonna just do a little in her lower waterline. See what that did? It just also helps bring up. I only went about halfway with the dark brown. And I'm gonna grab my teddy and I'm gonna do that on the inner because I don't want it as dark on that inner. Teddy is by MAC. So I am gonna really smoke out that underneath. You don't wanna leave it just like a harsh line like that. So first I'm gonna take, it's kind of like a little bit fluffier of a smudging brush. This is a Morphe M124. So this is really gonna let me move the product around without it being too kind of dense and hard on her eye. It has like a little give to the brush. I'm gonna take a little bit of this dark brown from like the cooler side. And what I'm doing is just really kind of roughing up that line, making it super sultry and sexy and smoky. So as we smoked out with this brown, I'm also going to just take a little bit and bring it up into her crease. Going back to our Dior highlight palette, I'm just gonna go underneath the eye with the bronze tone. Just as a really easy smoked out lash by doing this. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of the white and the champagne. I'm just gonna pop that in the inner. Now that we're getting a little shadow, you're gonna look that way. I'm going to take a little bit of the Too Faced Fluff and Hold. This is the laminating brow wax on a spoolie. I love this. I have one in my personal kit as well. That's how much I love it. And you can really like mess around with the hairs, like bring your spoolie back and forth and then lay the hairs upward. So again, just going back and forth, really getting it in those hairs and going upward. I'm switching back and forth between my clean spoolie and my spoolie with product on it because I do like the hold of this product, but I just don't need them to look like actually laminated or like spiky. Right, and we want to remember that this brow was the slightly lower one. So we are going to fill that one a little bit higher. In her brow, I'm going to use a little bit of Anastasia taupe in the dual powder. I'm going to use a little bit of my Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray by Charlotte Tilbury. You could spray it onto a pan or onto the back of your hand, whatever works best for you. I'm going to use my Anastasia angled brow brush, and I'm dipping into the darker side of taupe. I like to go with a lighter brow, and if I need to darken, I can always do so. But if I go too dark off the bat, then we have a problem. So I'm just filling in softly. Anywhere that she might have some gaps in there. Going on to this side, I'm going to do the same thing where I just fill in little hairs. I'm grabbing my mascara. This is just the Essence, really great performing mascara for what we need it to do. It is the waterproof one, the Lash Princess. Just taking a little spoolie. Normally I like my big ones. I accidentally ordered the small ones and they are great also. And if you look all the way up first, and I do the little seesaw motion, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, to really get those lower lashes loaded up. You guys should know, never re-dip. I still have enough product that I can go right in and darken her lashes with it. I am popping up on a false lash. Beautiful. I'm gonna use, these are from AliExpress. These are A21s. They are a mink lash. They are winged at the outer corners. I'm gonna just check them on her to see. You know what I'm actually even gonna do? I'm gonna put some glue on these and I'm gonna set them aside. But what I am gonna do on her outer corner, because I am gonna wanna lift these above her natural lash line on the outer corner, I'm going to just put a little black liner in there in a second. But right now I'm just putting glue on these, setting them to the side so they get nice and tacky. This is the Kiss Lash Glue. I'm gonna take a little bit of the Point Made Bodacious Black Liquid Liner. I'm gonna have you close. And this is only gonna go in the area that I want to hide where I'm lifting that lash up off her lash line. I'm not really worried if it's like perfect because the lash band is gonna go over it anyway. What I like to do with these is just kind of like move the band around to loosen it up so it's not so stiff. I'm gonna close and get right up to those lashes, especially on the inner. And then on that outer, I'm going up slightly. Open. And since I did that liner, you would never even be able to tell that I have it up off her lash line on the outer corner. So really close to her lash line on the inner, and then up off her lash line on the outer. Sometimes I will just keep my hands right here just to keep those outer corners up while it fully dries. I'm gonna move on to her lip. I'm gonna go in with Cork Lip Pencil by MAC. I'm gonna start at the bow. I do like to overdraw slightly in the center. I don't overdraw the outer corners. Sometimes I'll just take like a little brush and make sure the edges are nice and soft. Okay. So once I have cork on, again, I do like to just kind of smudge out the edges. I'm going to take one of my favorite fall shades. This is 724 by Dior with just a lip brush. Okay. Once we have the lipstick on, just going back over the lip liner with a little whirl. I'm going in now with just a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury Kim KW, because I do love an ombre lip. Just have a little bit of that lightness in the center. I'm gonna go in with the Tarte Lip Plump, and this is in the color White Peach. So once I am done with everything, I go and grab my aperture light. It's just a little handheld light that I got on Amazon. I like to take her after photos, and then this way I could see if there's anything in camera that I want to change. See one little thing right under her eye. That's why I like to take an after photo and make sure you have enough time to clean up little things. You also want to show your client when you're done and see what they think. You could tell me anything that you don't like.
It's beautiful.
Be honest, honest. You like it?
Yeah, I love it.
Would you change anything?
I
Nothing.
put my beauty mark.
Yay, beauty mark. I do love a good beauty mark. So always show them what they look like before doing a setting spray, and just adjust anything. I love a beauty mark. Once you figure out anything that they might want to change, you might want to change, then you're going to spray them. One size Until Dawn. We all know how great it is. And I just literally drown my client until they cough. No, I drown my client in it. Sometimes I'll do 2 passes of it, especially if they're a bride. Hope you guys enjoyed this 30 to 45 minute glam, we'll say. It is still a much faster glam for me than my normal. And it is great for when you are on a time crunch where you still want to have a full glam look. That this is very easily used for date night, even bridesmaids glam, even if you do pageants. It's a really, really easy, fast-ish look that will get you noticed and have your client wanting to come back for more. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Again, if you did like it, leave a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. And don't forget that we are making you a full product description or a full product list that you will be able to click the button below or go to theartoфenhancement.com. And thank you to our beautiful Lex for being our model today. You're so pretty. You like it?
Yes, thank you
Yay.
so much.
See you guys next